There are so many options, so many different ways to use argparse that it's really difficult to remember, and I really would not suggest you go around memorizing the documentation for argparse. It's something that you look up when you need it, or you can usually copy an example from some other program you have, or you can read the docs. But I have found in my experience that there's a handful of really common options that I use all the time. So I wrote a program called new.py that helps me create new Python scripts that have all these basic options in place for what I typically write, and so I recommend that you use this in every program in Tiny Python projects. You are welcome to take it and modify it to your liking, put in the ones that you use. It's just a Python script. You're welcome to edit it and make it your own. And it's cool. In the repository, you can find it under the bin directory. Let's see, where's that? So under the bin directory, there is this new.py. Bin is for binaries. It's not technically a binary, but so you can run this program to create, for instance, the foo.py program. Now, from the top level of the directory here, if I were to say bin new.py and say foo.py, it will create the program foo right here in the main top level directory. It's not generally the way I like to work. Let me get rid of that. I'm going to go into, for instance, the Appendix argparse, and I have actually copied this program. If I say which new.py, I've actually copied this into my home directory. Inside the home directory, I've created a .local directory, and under there, and if we were to look at that .local directory, we see that that's a place for that I've set up for installing local software for myself. Because this is my own personal laptop, I can actually, I have root privileges and I can install software anywhere I want, but sometimes it's still easy for me to install things into my home directory, and so if I do, I'll install it into .local. And .local bin is in my path, so if I from anywhere on my machine say new.py, foo.py, it's going to find new.py. If I say which new.py, we'll see that it's using the one that's in .local bin in my home directory. So that's the way I would recommend you install the program, so that you're not always having to run it from its actual installed directory or running it from inside the bin directory in Tiny Python projects. I'd recommend that you learn how to alter your path and how to put your own programs into a special location that you control in your path, so that as you write really useful programs, you can share them basically with yourself, so that you can use them across your different projects. So new.py is one that I hope you'll use. Maybe after you've written the programs in the book, maybe you'll find it's a useful way to get started for writing your own programs. Another way to do that would be to copy the template to the name of your program. They both accomplish the same thing. The whole point is that there's this program that you can now edit to make into your own program, and any of the arguments you don't need, you just delete. And here I'm just showing you how to create the basic, like a positional, a named argument, one that's a flag, one that's an integer, and then here's like a Boolean flag that's true when it's present. Just simple basic things that you would use all the time, and you just modify these for your program, and then I show you here how you can use them. So if we look closely at the help documentation that is created by this foo.py, we see that it defines a single positional argument, which is what we see here. This is called positional. The program, the argument is not positional because its name is positional. It's positional because its name does not start with a dash. And if I were to declare a second positional argument, like first, calling them positional is a terrible idea. So if I wanted to say like, color and size, I would want to call them the things that they are, because this is how I will this is how I'll reference them. Two arguments can't have the same name, and the color here would be the first positional argument because it's the first one that I define in this code. Size would therefore be the second one. Again, I don't recommend that you go around using positional arguments all that much. They can be actually quite confusing. Then we have the -h and --help. Remember that you don't ever get to use those flag names. Those are standard to argparse. You should not use them. Everyone pretty much expects those to produce the help documentation. So if you have something like host, maybe you would do --host for the long name and $H for the short name, something like that. So I show here that -a here is this argument that's a string, but I'm showing the -i --int argument is an int because the type here is int, not because the metavar is int. That's actually just a string. That's just that will show up here as the metavar, the thing that's going to print here. It's this type that determines that this argument needs to be parsable as an integer. Here, the type here, I'm being strict here. I'm being explicit that the type is string. That's the default type for all the arguments. So if you want something to be a string or a float, you would put here int or float. And then this last one here is O or --on for the Boolean flag. That's on when it's present, and therefore when it's not present, it would be off.